AI and IoT integration for smart factories. So it's a general question for all. Mr. Chandrasekhar, starting with you. How do you view digital technology adoption in Indian environment, leading to automation, predictive maintenance, optimization, when transitioning to smart factories under Industry 4.0?
See, we were India's first mover in this space, long before it was even called Industry 4.0 in India. And what we have done is, over the last decade or so, we have seeded more than 20,000 installations of connected machines, connected factories, and the ability for even SMEs to adopt some of these technologies for day-to-day use. So typically today, when we talk about AI in the space of connected factories and smart factories, a lot of it gravitates towards predicting something, which is predicting, let's say, quality, as the panelists here were talked about, predicting maintenance, right? But beyond that, there is a lot more that needs to happen in terms of the ability for a customer to consume what is happening on real time. So the key to this is, let's assume that there is an 8-hour shift. If they're able to see something in terms of beyond the prediction of anomalies or quality or the maintenance aspects, let's say they're able to see that in the first 30 minutes of production, and they're able to, let's say, correct that in the next 15, 20 minutes, then the next 7 hours, they have really good throughput. So this is something that is at the core of what needs to happen. The second is, there is this whole nirvana of smart connected factories, where on one end you have smart materials coming in, and a lot of that is starting to happen as well. There is all this connected machines, smart factories, machines talking to machines, factories talking to factories to harmonize production quantities and throughputs, and smart products coming out as well. The key is, for a lot of these companies, they still need to focus on the core activities that they believe yields them their daily billing. And they need a partner who can provide them those, to use a very Indian expression, hand-holding hooks to actually act on what is happening on the shop floor. And that, we believe, is an enabling factor for people to genuinely take data and analytics and insights to turn it into true productivity.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar, for updating us about the digital technologies. And I would ask Mr. Anish, what are your views about the adoption in the Indian environment?
Yeah, so based on what we have seen, there is a lot of interest for adoption, from what we see. But at the ground level, as you know, whoever has worked in the manufacturing sector in India, Indian factories are a little complex, right? In terms of, if you go into any kind of shop floor, you will have 1940s machine also, and the whole 2023 machine also will be there. There's nothing called as scrapping of a machine in India, right? We will anywhere repair it and we will make it run. And obviously, everybody will be very proud that, this machine has, kind of produced the kind of output that you would have never seen, right? But there is a genuine interest in terms of everybody to adopt, and everybody tries in small ways. What happens is, so the complexities also need to be kept in mind. So you're talking about a Skoda machine, which is kind of obsolete. You have the Fanucs, you have the Siemens, Mazak, Mitsubishi, you have all of them. That is one level of complexity, and those machines themselves have multiple generations of controllers. And then you bring in the complexity of the IT, where you have the SCADA layer, the IT layer, the ERP layer, and the MES layer, and then none of them talk to each other. And to expect a single source of truth becomes a very difficult proposition here. So the understanding needs to be there that the complete digital transformation is a process and not a project. So most of them take it as a project, and they say that Industry 4.0 is a failure because we could not get an output. So that is because you need to put relevant yardsticks and try to get small wins and then move in this particular journey. I think that is where we see as a challenge that most people don't understand that.
Yes, Mr. Anish, that's a challenge. Mr. Ivan, he was talking about highlighting the transformations So what are your views about technical implementations?
Yeah. So basically here, what we see, especially when it comes to Industry 4.0 implementation, is like how the handholding and networking inside the company, okay, like any manufacturing industry. So how each department is able to talk about this IoT in their daily level, okay. So this becomes very hard once the initiation has been taken up by a quality department or with an IT department or with the production department or with the maintenance department. So this is one thing where industry is now confused to say, okay, where I need to start. The start point for the whole industry is now, okay, everybody is approaching, okay, quality as one modules, maintenance as one module, IT as one module. So put together, okay, together they should be like a long-term and short-term goals from an organization to see, okay, what is the like a level by level or phase by phase we can do this transformation. So it cannot happen overnight. Okay, it is a journey. So it has to be taken by step and phase by phase. And it is to be communicated, discussed, and decisions has to be taken across the departments. Not like one department saying, okay, we need to go forward with this solution. That will not happen. So this is one information. And second thing is, how are we quantifying the results to our Indian customers? See, basically in India, what is happening is when they want to budget any of the solutions or they see the return of investments. If I invest the same 1 crore of machines on a manufacturing, I can see like another 10% increase in my production. But as an IoT, yes, this is one beautiful example comparison from the Tesla and Toyota, how the profits will increase down the time. So like this, one of the examples. So this is from the OEM level. But as Anish told, at a factory like small manufacturing units in India, we need to quantify them, how they will be able to realize and see the return of investments from day on day, and they will achieve this transformation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Abel.
Thank you.
This is a new dimension about the ROI.
Yeah.
And Mr. Kundan, how do you view transitioning to smart factories under Industry 4.0?
It has quite old equipment, the equipment which doesn't have any connectivity and never had any RJ45 or Wi-Fi sensor or those kind of components, because it never thought of that it is going to generate data, and that data is going to be our source of intelligence. Okay, so when the machine is designed, it is never done for that one. Now, what is happening is that if you look at fundamentally in a deployment of the soft floor, you have traditional machines, which are the old machines, and you have next generation machines, which are coming with updated versions, okay, and quite connected with all kinds of technologies. The difference is that if you look at the old machines, even though they don't provide any connectivity, they provide 3 parameters, which are quite basic. For example, vibration, temperature, and current. Now, these 3 parameters are further going to be exploited and give another 30 parameters. Okay, there are devices which are possible to extrapolate these 3 parameters and bring 30 parameters, and 30 multiplied by the data points, it is going to maximize your intelligence. Okay, so those are the approach probably industries need to take for integrating old, new OT devices and machines. That's one. Second is that even though you have machines, okay, there are other devices which are coming in picture, like drones. For example, there is a issue, or there is a instance where the particular component of a particular scanner or particular machine is not working good. So you can send a drone to inspect that one. The drone then you can take a call that what exactly the solution that you are going to go have. If you're using a PLC from Siemens, now Siemens PLCs are deployed, let's say, in a aluminum manufacturing or number of other factories, including Nalco or Hindalco or those kind of aluminum factories. Now, traditionally, Siemens has maximum intelligence or database of all kind of PLCs that is deployed globally. Now, if in Hindalco there is a issue happens with the PLC or a particular machine connected to the PLC, then that data goes to Siemens warehouse, like data center, and Siemens analyze which is the closest case that matches to it and gives recommendation to Hindalco that it pretty much matches to this particular case and this is the kind of solution they have adopted. Why don't you look at it? So then their intelligence is going to be further magnified and they're going to make a much better approach for it. So I find right now there is a, because of 5G and because the use cases need low latency, high connectivity, there is a modernization need to be done at the connectivity layer, further integrating all kind of devices, irrespective of whichever it is in the factory. Okay, even though at a sensor or even though at a training department, anything to everything that need to be connected. And every device has some intelligence to provide. And combination of all intelligence are important for developing the solution, the operation, predictive maintenance, all these kind of use cases for the particular industrial approach. And then only the KPIs are going to be improved. If whatever you're doing, the KPIs are not improved, then no organization, no enterprise is going to adopt Industry 4.0, period. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Kundan. Modernization of connectivity is a must. Coming to you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. All the manufacturers are integrating new technologies like IoT, AI, machine learning into their production facilities and throughout their operations. Is data integration the key to unlocking potential of smart factories?
Because what we are looking at is with our IIoT platform, we are giving them a single source of truth for the machine builder, the end customer, as well as the service providers. By service providers, I expand the universe to include not just the people that service a machine, but also people that provide value-add services of any kind. So what we do is, in terms of having a single data lake from which there could be different perspectives of what needs to be done either on the shop floor or an intersection of the digitization of processes and application of AI. And again, without getting too technical, AI itself, a lot of talk is happening today about the generative AI. That's one portion of that. But there's also ANI, which is artificial narrow intelligence. There is artificial super intelligence. There are different aspects of that. The perspective there is, how do we apply AI not just to the core of production operations, which is of course where we need to start with, which is where the production, the quality, the maintenance, all of that comes in. But then deriving from that, how do we extend that to product development design, new business models, supply chain, sales and service, including workforce management in terms of skilling people? Is there a component of AI that we can bring in that ties all of this together to provide a force multiplier effect while starting off with production? So the single data lake is very key, because from that, we actually construct the different layers of what needs to happen across the enterprise.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar, for sharing your thoughts. Mr. Evil, how do you see integration of AI and IoT technologies help in optimizing operations within smart factories?
So when this AI and IoT gets together, then we can see a lot of output that will be available to the like manufacturing industries to take decisions. So one of the example that what I want to share here is like when, as I've shown one of the examples in my presentations. So we can see like IoT alone will not serve the purposes, but AI also will not serve the purposes. When these two has to be integrated, these two has to be synced together to see that okay, common output has to be achieved. So in our case, the communication between the complete automated cell, okay, that has to be optimized by the IoT. And once the data is available at a particular decision point, okay, then AI will come into picture to see that, okay, whether the defects or whether the whatever like analytical parameters has to be taken care will be from the AI side. So this is where we can see like both will go hand in hand to see that, okay, customer will be successful.
Thank you, Mr. Evan, for sharing your insights. Mr. Kundan, you were talking about standards and intelligence for productivity improvement. So what growth drivers are bringing change in the manufacturing sector in India?
Okay, so the first thing that before migration or before adopting Industry 4.0, we have to understand where exactly we're standing. Okay, because that is critical. Because all enterprises has a budget. Okay, and if we need the budget to be allocated, we have to justify that what exactly we are going to do, what is the kind of investment needed, and what is the outcome it is going to further compensate with. So first thing is that we have to audit the soft load very carefully and understand where we're standing, whether we are at 1.0 or 2.0. Now that audit follows a particular smartness index, which is called SIRI index, okay, which is adopted by World Economic Forum. And in the SIRI index, what you do is that you analyze across multiple touch points that is essential across your skill set, technology, architecture, productivity parameters, and then you formulate like where exactly you're standing and where exactly you're going to go. And to go that much, what is the investment that you need to opt for? And with that particular investment, what is the improvement you're going to bring in your KPI? Because everything is linked, and the management, top management is going to look it from a microscope. So that is one. Second is that when you're doing this, you have to follow certain standards. Now, there are multiple standards by different countries, but like China has a standard. Because in China, I think Industry 4.0 is a massive success in China. There are more than close to, if I'm not wrong, 5,000 plus manufacturing companies have gone for Industry 4.0 compared to India, which is less than 10. So they have their own standard, and which is pretty much good. In European and US, we're following a standard called RAMI 4.0. So we have to follow the standard, and the standard actually brings seamlessness or smoothness in integration and adoption of the migration, and the processes are going to be optimized with respect to a blueprint or with particular guidelines. So anything which has guidelines to follow is easy to adopt. So these are the things. I don't know how much the Indian companies are following, but I strongly believe that if we follow standards and the right index and benchmarking practices, then things are going to be more visible, tangible, and adoptable, and investments are going to be aligned.
Thank you, Mr. Kundan. Yes, definitely guidelines are very much important. Mr. Anish, coming to you, how does AI and sensors provide more efficiency to optimize supply chain management within a smart manufacturing ecosystem? And allied to it, how it provides more quality at shop floor?
Two aspects here. One is from the supply chain side, and second is from the the quality within the shop floor. So what happens nowadays is because there is so much of dependency on the vendors, the supply chain becomes a very critical aspect for any areas. There's one of our case studies. I don't know, in terms of we were quite involved in one of the case studies of a huge recall by one of the Toyota cars for a powertrain failure, and the powertrain was supplied by one of the suppliers. It was basically obviously it is a non-destructible testing had to be done. They used to do the sample testing, random sample testing, and if it is clear, the entire batch is passed. But this so happened that obviously based on one of the failure, the entire shipment was rejected in US, and the whole vehicle recall was happening because of this particular incident. So it is literally impossible for anybody to do that amount of, you have so much of vendors and so many parts that are coming in. It is kind of manually impossible to be able to do that level of assessment. It needs to have the AI component coming in to be able to provide it. In fact, we implemented an AI solution in this particular case where every product that comes in could be tested with with minimal turnaround time, and that is also inline testing. And an inline testing, if it needed to be done, it is not possible without an AI. In normal circumstances, what they used to do, they used to paint some dye and they used to break it. That's a destructible, and if that is passed, everything is passed. Or they go for the X-ray route. Again, those are all highly costly methodologies. But based on sound and based on the AI of sound itself, you were able to solve that particular issue. It was a sonic analysis problem solution. So without the more and more the complex the supply chain becomes, AI in various aspects become that much more important. Similarly, like the other case study I mentioned about quality is kind of an obsession inside here. You can go however deep you want. It depends upon you. Like one of our customers, one of the customers, I would not want to name them, they have close to 900 parameters that they check for quality, right? And that is the kind of checking that is happening. And these are supposed to be done real time, right? And when you have that level of obsession with quality, you will obviously, you will know that you are in the top brands, because that kind of quality will bring that kind of output and that kind of reliability in the markets. And that is what we see. Some of the top companies that we see, let it be the Toyotas, or let it be the Apples of the world, or let it be they are known for their quality. And the quality, and fortunately, I have had the fortune of working with all, at least 4 or 5 of them. And I have literally seen the kind of obsession that they have with quality. And without AI, it is not possible to do that in the future. Kind of output that we are producing and the turnaround time that is required, we will need to augment it with AI.
Thank you, Mr. Anish, for giving such an insight. Mr. Evil, there is a question in the box. Is the customer going to audit or inspect the part on real time remotely? Will there be blockchain incorporation in the supply chain?
No. So once the supplier or customer, if they start doing the inspections, so that will be on a real time, we can take the data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kundan. Mr. Chandrasekhar, what is the cost in automating a factory, and what percentage increase in efficiency can automation bring?
Okay. So I'll answer it in 2 different ways. One is, even if a company were to spend 1 rupee and they get nothing out of it, that's 1 excess rupee spent. So that is something that we need to be cognizant about. So in terms of what is the cost in automating a factory or we need to look at what is it that they're trying to achieve. Is it data from production processes and equipment? Is it more? Is it integrating, say, metrology, like some of the panel members here have talked about? Or do they look at ROI as a pivot? If we look at ROI as a pivot, there are different layers of looking at ROI. One is to essentially increase the OEE, while OEE is just a number, but the net effect of what all goes into increasing OEE, if you get it right, we could possibly look at an ROI in weeks or months. So that is something that is truly that we have seen cuts across sizes of companies, verticals, or the tier 1, 2, 3s, whether it's in India, whether it's abroad. We've seen that most of the companies, if they are not looking at data in a particular way at the right time with the right people, the productivities can be pretty low. Looking at that as a start point can give an ROI literally of weeks or months. What that really means is they can get a return on investment that is far higher than investing in land or gold or anything else that you can think about. So I'm not really able to address the cost factor because it depends on what they're trying to achieve. But anywhere from, I would say, few tens of thousands of rupees to several lakhs of rupees per equipment is what a customer should try to benchmark.
Yes, that's quite a vivid example. Mr. Chandrasekhar, once again, with the ongoing advancement in AI and IoT, what future trends are expected in the context of the smart factories? And how this innovation will reshape manufacturing?
What we are seeing, just for context, AS Micromatic Group is India's largest manufacturer of precision CNC machines. And if you look at the two-wheeler industry in India, which is the largest single source of both manufacturing GDP as well as manufacturing employment, 70% of two-wheeler parts are made on our machines. And these are made right from OEMs to tier 1, 2, 3s, all the way to mom and pop shops who literally have 2, 3, 5 machines in their shop. And what we see is that at any of these kind of companies, they are looking to empower the person that can actually take the action the fastest. In most cases, there is an operator. Now, what it also means is, unless the operator is truly enabled, you probably don't have the ability to take 90% of the actions that you need to be taking. So a lot of the evangelism that we have done and the changes that we have effected actually start from the operator level. What are those things that you can do to empower the operator for them to make the changes required without calling for a supervisor or a process engineer or a plant head or anything like that? So that's where the focus ought to be. And right from skilling, offline skilling, to hands-on skilling, to digital skilling. So we like to use the word digital craftsmanship. It used to be that, even 20 years ago, you said he is a good craftsman means he knew how to use maybe verniers or tooling or work holding or things of that nature. Today, the context is, what does it mean to be a digital craftsman? So how do you use what data, at what rate, or by what exception, using what device? Device is really the last thing that we look at, but get these right first. Then you can tack on a device, whether it is a mobile, whether it is a HMI, whether it is a big screen, it really doesn't matter.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar, for highlighting those views. So lastly, I would ask Mr. Evil, how should companies approach upskilling their force to operate in this advanced environment?
So this thing has to start from the operator level. So this is one thing that what I take from Mr. Chandrasekhar, that as the upskilling concepts has to be done from the operator level throughout the organization, and we need to make operator strong enough to take decisions. And one of the examples what we can say here is with respect to the training. So we have, as I shown one of the example, the operator will decide the invoice quantity and the value. So this is being enabled, and right now we are in a phase where the operator will decide the complete dispatch quantity. So that is the one thing, and we have seen that, okay, during this case, he has to also have a knowledge on the machine, the quality, and few aspects which IoT will be taking care of next steps. So how to work with the tools and gauges and technology. So these are all the like few parameters of the training that we need to take care for when we switch to this technology.
Thank you, Mr. Will. Gentlemen,